Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are doing well. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School. And I wanted to join you guys tonight and have a little conversation for intelligent Black people only. You are only allowed to be here if you're Black and intelligent. So all the intelligent Black people in the room, please throw your hands up. And I'd like for you to join me in a discussion on a topic that came to mind as I was talking to some legal friends today. It has to do with the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash and basically what that means from a legal standpoint. And so to really dig into this legal issue, I brought in my good friend, respected colleague, Attorney Nichole Compton. And by the way, Nichole, I do not know how to give you the permission to record, but I can send that to you because I don't even know what to put.
Well, you got to do it in chat, but I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But anyway,
I know you're technically challenged. It's all good.
I know I am technically challenged. I just hit a button, so maybe that'll work. So you can try it over there, see what happens.
Okay.
All right. So everybody, please welcome Attorney Nichole Compton. Nichole is a smart lawyer, and she has a lot of interesting things to say. And I guess first of all, I want to ask Nichole, how are you doing today, sister?
I'm doing as good as can be. Dealing with the Kobe Bryant, death. I got a call from a really good friend of mine this morning. His brother had committed suicide. So there's a lot of death going on this way. But you know what? It makes me realize how blessed I am to have my family members that I do have, all the things that could have happened that didn't, and how because of all of this, it makes us remember that we're human and that we have to take every moment seriously and live life to the fullest.
Yeah, well, and I definitely agree with you. I mean, I think that whole, situation, it definitely is a reminder that no matter how much money you have, anything can happen. Tomorrow's not promised to anybody. And with that being said, let's jump right into it. First of all, everybody, hit the thumbs up button if you're watching. Please hit the thumbs up button. Hello, everybody. If you're on Twitter, please retweet. If you're on Facebook, please share this to your page. Hello, everybody on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. And so let's jump into it. Okay, so Nichole, one of the things that one of my legal friends hit me up with and mentioned today is that there are huge legal ramifications when a guy, who's on, pretty close to being a billionaire, who's probably going to, if he lived a long life, he would have easily become a billionaire. When he has a situation like this, the lawyers, in many cases, are kind of licking their chops, I imagine, to find any reason to sue. And so as an attorney, as a legal-minded person, what goes through your mind when you see a crash like this?
Oh my gosh. So like I was saying earlier, when we were offline, as an attorney, I'm constantly thinking, I guess, worst case scenario. And I look at things through the jaded eyes of an attorney who's done this for, 14, 15 years. And so I did look at, what all happened. I've looked at all of the investigations that are going on. Looked at, everybody is going to be looking at trying to place some kind of blame somewhere. So Kobe was 41, I'm 40, so that makes it even more surreal for me. And so when I look at it, I know that they're going to be investigating things like, the history of the crew, the pilot, what his experience was, what the maintenance on the helicopter was, what the record of the operator or the owner of the company that it was chartered from, or who actually owned it. Did Kobe own it? Was he leasing it? Did the company, the company own it? So there's a lot of different things that I think about. One of the things that struck me though, and maybe just like I said, because being an attorney for so long, I look at little things. Like I was saying when we were offline, I was at a restaurant and I saw a crayon hit the floor and they left it there and the waitress stepped over it. First thing I thought was, that's a lawsuit. Somebody's going to slip, they're going to fall, they're going to hit their head, they're going to break this. Now we have an issue. So yes, attorneys probably are licking their chops because there are so many different parts to this. But one of the things that I noticed when I was watching yesterday, there were actually people that were fans, and I know they mean well. They wanted to see the last little bit of Kobe that they could, but there were actually people that were breaking into or intruding on the crash site. So if you live in LA or Calabasas, you're close to that area, you have to stay away. We have to give one, we have to give them enough time to even find the bodies. I think at this point they've only recovered 3 of them. We have to, there
Mhm.
were like 8 or 9. We have to give them time to find the bodies. You have to leave the crime scene alone, or not the crime scene, but the crash scene alone. And it actually can be a crime for those who, just want to see last glimpses, or maybe they're curious about what a helicopter crash site looks like. But, from a state perspective, a person who intrudes on an investigation could be looking at under California Penal Code. They could be looking at charges, misdemeanors for tampering with evidence, impeding an investigation, and then not only that, you also have the NTSB, you have the FAA and the FBI who are now on the site, and they're trying to do their investigation. That's up to 20 years federal time, as well as fines and things like that. So my first thing I would say that I noticed was that. But then you have the other stuff. You have, whose fault it was, from an estate planning perspective. Did Kobe have his affairs in order? He was 41. Did, a friend of mine was talking to me earlier today and was like, I need you to do me a will, because after having seen this tragedy, she realized he's younger than me and anything can happen at any moment. With Aretha Franklin and some of the other famous people in the Black community, we know that we don't always get our affairs in order, especially when we're younger. We think that we have forever. So you have a lot of different legal issues wrapped up in this tragic event.
Well, everybody, I'm speaking with Attorney Nichole Compton, and we're talking about Kobe Bryant and not just his passing. Most of you know what happened there, but there's also sort of the legal aspect, the legal angle of this. And I know a lot of people were curious about it, asking questions about it. So we brought this conversation to you guys. In fact, you'd be amazed at the type of stuff people were talking about. I mean, it's not to say that people that were in the chat were just thinking about Kobe's money, but let's just be real. He was a very wealthy man. And I heard all kinds of conversations. And I told people, I said, it's okay to have any discussion you want if the community can learn from it. Like, so for example, there were even some sisters that were saying, well, wait a minute, his wife wasn't an African-American woman. She wasn't Black. And then somebody
But
came
his
back.
kids are.
Well,
He
that's
leaves behind 3.
well, absolutely. And I would say it's one of those things where I just told them, I said, you know what, if that's what you're thinking, bring it out. Like, I think everything should be discussed, because yeah, if a Black man marries a white woman, then the children are going to be Black, but her family is white, right? And even if they speak Spanish, right? A lot of people
Right.
think that Hispanic people are the same as Black people, and they're not. Hispanic people in many cases can be more racist than American white people can. Like they make I went down there, I went to Colombia. I didn't go to Brazil. I want to go there. But I mean, when I was in Colombia, you would have thought they had the Black people hid. Like where I was at, you could tell they looked at me different because I was darker skinned, and I just didn't care, right? But that racism's real, and so there were a lot of interesting discussions in terms of Kobe and his estate, because now Kobe the man is not here. Now there's the estate, and I can only imagine there being big battles over who's going to get that money. Like, in fact, I think some of the first people that are going to jump up there and be filing
And contracts that have ended because his life ended. So,
yeah,
I'm sure he had deals and contracts that are unfulfilled now that he's passed away. If there weren't clauses that stated what happened in these kind of in this kind of incident, because it most likely was unforeseen. You know, how do the money that was invested and things like that, how do they, reconcile who gets what?
Well, one of the big first lawsuits I think is going to happen is going to come from his mother and his father. I don't know if people know that, but Kobe was not speaking to his parents when he died. You know, his mother has been pissed. From what I've read, his mother's been pissed at the wife for years. That she wanted Kobe to get married with a prenup, and he had no prenup. And you and I had even talked about this. I told everybody, I said I love the shit out of Alicia, but we signing a prenup, right? You know, and so
by a really great attorney. No.
there you go. Right. We talked about that. We talked about that. Like,
who thinks about crayons on the floor?
And I think that's a sign of maturity. It's a sign of maturity when a person understands that a prenup does not mean I don't love you.
You know what?
I want clarity in case something doesn't work out. What do you think?
But you know what? If his mother was still pissed at him the day that he died, my son and I, I have custody of my 5-year-old grandson, and his mom overdosed back in May of 2019. And my son told me, he said, I always thought that she was going to be the one to get clean and I was going to be the one to pass away. And I told him, I was like, the worst thing that I could imagine is my having to bury my child. But the worst, something that is worse than that, now that I think about it, is if I wasn't on speaking terms and I had to bury my child. And his parents, I will say this, since there was no prenup, most likely his wife and the kids will get everything. And his parents are probably not going to get anything out of his estate. Unless he had a will or he had a trust or some kind of estate planning mechanism already set up for them.
Okay, so you're saying that that Kobe's mother, which is kind of interesting, right? Let me know what you guys think about that. Like, because I don't know if y'all know the story, but Kobe had cut his mom off. He was like, his parents, he was just like, I'm not giving y'all no more money, none of that. I'm not going to say that was right or wrong. I'm going to say that that's hard for me to understand because without your parents, you don't exist. Without your parents paying for you to go to basketball camp, there is no money. And I don't know. I don't know if his wife, would have still married him if he was a broke guy, shooting jumpers in the park, as opposed to a multimillionaire.
Or stay with him after his scandal. I just imagine how, as a woman who was cheated on, how hard, that was to be in the public eye when all of that went down.
Yeah.
There were people who were, the whole Me Too thing, there were a lot of, I saw comments and articles from women who were like, so he did blah, blah, blah back in the day. And I'm a big proponent.
But remember though, he didn't get convicted of nothing, right? So I think that stuff I think has to be thrown out because the man was never convicted of anything. And I think for people to just say, oh, he did this because somebody accused him of something, I think that's wrong too. I think it's like, you're right. A lot of it's speculation. A lot of people say, well, why would you talk about this man's personal life? That's his business. No, it ain't just their fucking business because that's why the whole world's celebrating his legacy. That's why the whole world's talking about it. When you choose to become famous, you're making your business everybody's business. When you benefit from fame, right? Fame is what allows you to have the millions in the bank. It's what allows you to have the private jets. It's what allows you to get in a helicopter to pick your kids up from school. And I think famous people get that. They understand. They understand that privacy is something, that is available for people that don't get that lifestyle. You choose that life, then that's what it is. Right. So I think everybody that's talking about it has a right to talk, but also people have a right to disagree, right? So let me ask you this, Nichole. So by the way, I'm talking to Attorney Nichole Compton, and we're talking about the legal ramifications of the Kobe Bryant incident and just what that means. So if you, so you know what? Let me just throw this out. I'm gonna be a bad lawyer, and I want you to correct me because you're a good lawyer. I'm not even a bad lawyer.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah, I want you to tell me where I'm messing up. But here's some things that come to mind. If I'm a lawyer and I'm an armchair lawyer, and so if I'm a lawyer and I'm looking at this, I might be thinking about things like this. I might say, okay, they were flying in bad weather. What were they? Who told them to fly in that bad weather? Whose decision was it? Was it the pilot's decision to do this? Did Kobe tell him, hey man, we really got to get there? And the pilot said, hey, I'm warning you, this is not good. Did they have a conversation with air traffic control who said, don't worry, go ahead? Or did air traffic control say, you need to get on the ground? Like that, those are the things that come to my mind. What do you think?
So I got a nerdy boyfriend. And so we've had all of these conversations, and I guess maybe he was playing the bad lawyer as well. It's and we came to the consensus, no matter what, I feel sorry for the Pallett's family because the Pallett died too. Mm-hmm. And no matter what, I think it's going to end up being his fault. And the reason why, the helicopter was like state of the art. It had twin engines. It had, all the bells and the whistles and autopilot and all of that. He had the years of experience in flying it. And so I really wonder if it's going to come down to it just being the Pallett's fault. Like I said, they're going to look at the history of the Pallett, his experience, whether or not he followed the rules, whether or not the helicopter was maintained or not. Had the helicopter ever had any other issues, which it had not, as far as we know. They're going to look at the records, of how it was maintained and how many flights it had made. And so when I looked at it, I actually listened to what the controller was saying, and you can tell that things went bad, and it went bad quickly. But I think that he probably didn't think it was going to go down like it did. But I also wondered when Aaliyah passed away, she was in a small Cessna, and at that time, what it was said from the people who lived and did not was that they were pressuring the Pallett. We need to go now. We don't care what you say, and we're going to take all of our equipment. And it was overloaded and went down. But he could have stopped it by not conceding to their demands. Mm-hmm. Well, I wondered the same thing with the Kobe Bryant, helicopter, because I wonder, was it, we got to get there, we don't have time to, we can make it if we just go around this way? Because I also saw, and I think LA Times had what the flight path looked like and how many times I think it went back and forth like 18 times over the last year or year and a half. And so that it did this flight kind of regularly. And this time it diverted, and that they had called traffic control and was saying, okay, what do we do now? They were like, okay, follow the expressway, miss this. He's about to come too close to another aircraft. They told him to turn then. And he was actually asking for assistance when the crash happened. And what they were saying is, we can give you assistance, but we can't track you as low as you are. We need it, you got to get to another altitude so that we can see you to help you.
Interesting.
And they said it right before the plane crashed. It's like he did the Pallett did a 180 and then went straight up. It shows where he went straight up in elevation. And I think he was trying to get away or trying to get out of the clouds or above the clouds and missed the mountain. He just was too close.
Oh, sheesh. That's
and so I think it probably will come down, to the plane, to the Pallett. But like in NTSB and FAA, when they do their investigations, we'll get a preliminary report probably in the next couple of days or more like weeks, because it's a big deal, maybe sooner than later. But final reports take 2 years, 3 years, sometimes 5 years or more, just to get a final report. And in this situation, there is not a black box. The black box was not required for the helicopter. So they were in compliance and not having a black box, but it doesn't help because the only thing we do have is the conversation that's happening with control. And we don't have anything to say, what was other than that, what was the exact path, what was being said, what the moves were and all of that. So there's a lot to be pieced together in this, a lot.
Okay. Well, everybody who's listening, I'm speaking with Attorney Nichole Compton. We're talking about the legal ramifications of the Kobe Bryant crash. And it's so funny. You got some people that are so emotional that they're like, "Don't talk about this, man. You can't talk about this." I'm like, "Well, people
Too
like that,
soon.
right.
That's
People
how I
like
feel.
that,
It's too
yeah,
soon.
yeah. I just that's why I tell them this platform's for intelligent Black people who are open minded. So if you get offended by a conversation, you certainly can leave. And so, but one of the things I can say is they spoke with the former U.S. Department of Transportation Inspector General Mary Chavo, who basically they asked her straight up. They said, "Do you see any scenario where a lawsuit will not be filed?" And she said, "No." She said there will definitely be lawsuits.
We
Um,
are very litigious. We are very litigious in the United States. And there are so many, and what I will say will most likely happen, everybody gets sued. So when you initially file a lawsuit, you don't want to leave anybody out. So, even technically they could sue the pilot post-mortem. You can have, they're gonna sue the maker of, they're gonna sue the maker of the aircraft. They're gonna sue the owner of the company that the pilot worked for. They're gonna sue the owner of the airplane if it's different from who the operator was. They're gonna sue potentially, depending on potentially on who was on the ground directing. I mean, there's a lot of, a lot of people that could become defendants in this. Now, will all of them end up paying out, or have to litigate this? Maybe not. Sometimes you can get rid of unnecessary defendants pretty early on, but they're going to sue first and ask questions later and let it, figure out. And you also come up with um, scenarios where there's partial fault. So it's partially the manufacturer of the engine, and partially the manufacturer of the propellers, and partially the pilot's fault, and his employer, would have to pay. So there's a lot. There are a lot of people that will probably the end of the defendant's end of this
well,
situation in the lawsuits.
well, let me ask you this, Nichole. You know, so if I'm Kobe Bryant, right, I'm sitting on a fortune of $500 million, and I'm thinking about putting my 8 closest friends on a helicopter with me. Um, why not have them all sign disclaimers before they get on the chopper? Do you think that that's a possibility, or you
They
think?
may have. They
Hmm,
may have. I mean, a helicopter accident in what I'm about to say is no different than a car accident. So if we were going somewhere, let's say you and I were going to dinner, you had Alicia, I had Norris, and we're going out to eat, and I get into a car accident,
hmm,
everybody that's in that car not only can sue whoever hit me, but they can also sue me because they were my passenger. So anytime you let somebody else in your vehicle, you're opening yourself up to liability. If Kobe arranged this trip and he's like, come on, I'm going to take you all, we're going to go up here, we're going to go to this tournament, then potentially the families of the people who passed away will and can sue Kobe, because he's the
hmm.
one that arranged. And even if he didn't arrange it, honestly, because he's the one with deep pockets, you always include who's got the deep pockets. And so they're going to be looking, I mean, because they're going to have to pay for funerals and things like that as well. um, but death and money do things to sane people.
Hmm.
And so
Well,
the prospect of being able to sue and get paid, and a lot of times, like I said, it may not end up that every defendant will litigate. A lot of times it's cheaper to settle. So you'll see where, they may sue him or sue the insurance company or sue whoever, and then there are settlements made between the different parties and the different plaintiffs.
interesting.
It
Uh,
won't be a short lawsuit. Any of the lawsuits that filed most likely will not be short. They're
hmm.
going to probably last as long, if not longer, than the NTSB and the FAA making their final reports.
Hmm. Well, I want to ask everybody a question. First of all, I'm speaking with Attorney Nichole Compton, and we're talking about the legal ramifications of the Kobe Bryant situation and what this could mean in terms of the court of law, in terms of the impact on his wealth. Because we talk about wealth and things like that, and I think it's important to talk about it in life and in death because everybody in here is going to die, and when you die, that can impact what happens to your wealth, and so. Which is why things like estate planning are so important, stuff like that. I have no idea what Kobe's estate was, but I want to ask everybody a question. First of all, could you please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe. If you're on Twitter, please retweet, etc. And also just for you guys to know, Attorney Compton is actually joining me for a 4-week program in the Black Business School called the Black Millionaire Factory. And that's where actually she breaks down, and I'm there as well, so I can give you my perspective, but breaks down all the specifics of getting your business off the ground and getting it higher off the ground once it's already launched.
Launched legally.
There you go. Launched legally. There you go. And she's actually including as a free gift for everybody that joins what she calls the launch box, which has a lot of documents and information that you can use to get your business going. So feel free to go take a look. It's theblackmillionairefactory.com, THE. That's theblackmillionairefactory.com. It's really great. There's a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. You can feel free to go check it out. Also, if you're watching here, you can use the code word podcast and actually get 30% off. So that's theblackmillionairefactory.com. So feel free to check that out. So I want to ask everybody a question, and that's going to lead to another question that I'm going to lead to Nichole. How many of you in here consider yourselves wealth builders? How many of you in here consider yourselves people that plan to die with more than what you had when you were born? How many of you in here are on that paper chase where you are building some sort of wealth, plan to leave a legacy for your family? How many of you, raise your hand, say I, say me, say I am, whatever it is you want to say, right? How many of you in here are Black wealth builders? And I asked how many Black wealth builders we have in the building because these are the conversations. These are ugly conversations. These are you know what, today, I'm gonna tell you the truth, Nichole. Today, I deliberately made a plan to get on Black people's nerves. I wanted to get on Black people's nerves. And let me tell you why.
No, hold on. What makes that different than any other day, Boyce?
No. I don't do it every day. I'm usually about a level 3 asshole. Okay. Today I'm about to be a level 9. And the reason I'm a level 8, not level 9, maybe level 7.5. The reason I'm gonna be a level 7.5 asshole is because Black people don't want to talk about death. Seriously, Black people, we get so damn emotional. And y'all know what I'm talking about. How many of y'all got relatives that will not talk about estate planning, will not talk about the will, don't want to talk about life insurance, don't want to talk about the what ifs, don't want to talk about none of that, and then got the family looking crazy when the funeral pops off. With something happens.
Fighting over nothing while everything is going to the state or the court is saying what happens. At Christmas time, I was getting on everybody. Because at Christmas time, I'm like, why y'all eating chitlins and ham hocks and, and all of this for Christmas, and it's supposed to be a family time. Why don't you give the gift of sanity or give the gift of family and a legacy of wealth when you leave, instead of letting grandma's house go into foreclosure or, we didn't plan right, so now people are fighting over the dishes and things like that. Sit down and say, this is what I have, this is where it is, and this is what I want to happen when I pass away.
Yeah. I mean, we get caught up in we're always into the emotional stuff.
Well, not only that, I don't want you to know my business.
Right. But I think it's like everybody's emotional. Like, I see all the memes and all the sad images of Kobe, and it's true. It's fine. I mean, be sad. But I'm going to tell you the reason I don't get sad a lot of times when people die is because I'm going to give you your flowers while you're alive. I don't wait for somebody to die for me to suddenly realize, oh, I love that person. I'm going to tell them every day while they're living, right? So when Kobe died, I was sad like everybody else, but I know death is always coming. Death can always happen, right? And here's the thing. I think that a lot of our families, we don't talk about death. We don't plan for death. We get caught up in the emotionality of it. The emotionality keeps you from talking about it because you feel like if you talk about it, you're going to make it happen. Like, oh no, I can't imagine that. I don't want to talk about that, right? Then when it happens and you're in this depression because you just lost your loved one and ain't nobody made no plans for nothing, right? Ain't nobody planned, don't nobody know where nothing's at. You out at the church begging for a collection plate to help.
I always say GoFundMe GoFundMe pages are not insurance policies and burial policies.
Thank you.
Don't be
Thank you.
selling pies and t-shirts with RIP to raise money to put your loved one in the ground.
There you go. Those little tie-dye shirts, like RIP, little
The
nippy.
airbrush.
The airbrush
Right.
shirts. Yeah. Yeah. I
The
mean,
flea market
I'm not
swap
hating
shop
on it.
shirts.
I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying I think that we gotta be grown up about this, right? And
We
I'm
can
so
do
I'm gonna lay
better.
out, Nicole. This is gonna lead to my next question for you. I'm gonna lay out what I see in terms of the people that the big pocket entities that are involved in this that will probably get sued by somebody. I'm imagining. I was thinking about Kobe himself in his estate, right?
Yep.
I think they're gonna go for that money any way they can. There's the manufacturer of the helicopter, whoever made the helicopter, right? You know, your rotor is bad, engine bad, whatever.
But
I,
not just the helicopter, because you got to think most times, like the helicopter may be made by this company, but then somebody makes every individual part. So, as an
yeah.
attorney, I'm looking to see if there were any malfunctions. Was there a panel malfunction? Did the engine go out? Did, when if the helicopter hit a certain way, could it have let anybody survive if the gas tank didn't blow up and there was the fire?
Yeah, yeah, I can see that too. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, and I was also thinking, whoever the pilot works for, I want to check in. You know,
The pilot
if
personally?
the pilot messed up, I'm not going to sue him. I'm going to sue who he works for,
No,
and
you sue
then
him too.
him too.
That's why I said you would still sue. You can sue him post mortem or sue his estate,
mm,
but then sue his employer because maybe he wasn't properly trained.
interesting. And then I was thinking about just the federal government themselves, right? Because when they're talking to air traffic control, aren't they? Don't they work for the government? So if they get bad
Sometimes it
instructions, just sue the
depends.
government.
It could have been. It could have. They switch from tower to tower to tower, but federal government, state government, you have sovereign immunity usually, and it is hard to break immunity.
Mm,
So it's very unlikely that they're going to sue the FAA per se.
interesting.
So I doubt that.
Interesting. Well, I think also just for the wealth builders that are in the room, I think what it also speaks to is, it explains why a lot of people that have money, a lot of times they don't want to have a lot of friends. They did, because for them, just them inviting you to
Liability.
their house could open them up to a lawsuit if you slip on
Yep.
the floor and hurt yourself, or you slip on the porch. Like, and I think about little things like that. Like when I was icing the driveway, I always ice all the way, or put the salt all the way up to the front door, because I'm like, if some stranger walks up to my front door and slips,
No, you know what? Actually, legally, I know it's off the subject.
uh-huh.
Legally, if you leave it and you don't change what human nature does, then you're less likely to be liable than if you change the conditions. Because if you melt the ice and then they slip, you caused that condition. If God made it snow and you left it, you're less likely to be liable.
Oh Lord. See, but then that's why you gotta have lawyers around that can explain this shit to you, because that don't make no damn. So now
And
you make
then you're tasked with having to have some kind of warning.
no
So that's why they have the wet floor signs and all of that. So if
really
you created the condition, you also have to warn. You have a duty to
okay.
warn.
Now I'm never gonna salt my driveway again. Thanks a lot for that, Nicole. Well, I think this is very interesting stuff. I think that the legal stuff. What I have just found is that anybody who wants to become a wealth builder has to think about legal stuff. I still remember. I remember the first time I got hit with a big lawsuit, and it just pissed me off because I didn't think it was fair at all. And I remember somebody sent me a video where Will Smith was explaining to one of his nieces. He's actually from Philly, just like Kobe, and a hard, just a real ambitious guy like Kobe. And he basically said that he keeps 15 lawyers on retainer because he gets sued so much for anything. Like anybody, it's like people just poking away, trying to find a way to get access to your money. And it just seems like having that strong legal strategy to protect your money it's like that's a step of wealth, right? The first step is, figure out where the money's at. Next step is make a plan to go get it. Third step is to go get it and accumulate it. And then the last step is you got to protect it. And actually, I don't know if people know this, but 70% of all wealthy families lose all their wealth in one generation. So building the wealth doesn't mean you out of the struggle forever. Your kids might be in the struggle in the next generation if you don't prepare them to defend and protect what you've got. And so, and in fact, it makes me think about why, like I know even he's a bad example, but not a bad example. Donald Trump, his father actually sent him to military school when he was younger, and I wonder if part of the reason he taught him to like fight is because he just was like, look, when you got money, you're gonna be in fights. People gonna try to fight you, and so Trump is always like, I'll sue him and I'll fight you in court, and it sucks. I hate it, right? But it seems like that almost becomes like part of the game.
But that's also why you have a blessing and a curse of being an attorney is, I do think in worst case scenario, always, because if he's, Will Smith has 15 attorneys, that means he has somebody in his ear that is saying, don't do this because this, and this could happen. And I always feel like as an attorney that I'm the naysayer. I'm the one that's going to spoil all the fun so that, when my clients go out and they're like, woo, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, let's think about this. Well, dang, you just took all the fun out of it. I got to sign a release for this and I got to sign that before I can do. Yes, because you need somebody with the foresight to say, hold on, let's think this through. Let's make the best possible decision, look at all the risk and put the safeties in, and even with wealth. A lot of times people say, oh, if I ever get in trouble, I'll need you. No. You need me before you get there. You need me, I'm good at law, but I love business. I love entrepreneurship for the freedom that it gives. But, I'm happy to help you out of a situation after you get sued, but I'd rather help you on the front end to launch it legally, to put the things in place so that you don't have to come to me when things are bad. You can come to me when things are good. We're building something great. Or you win the lottery. If you win the lottery, Nichole Compton. I got to tell everybody that you need a good attorney if you win the lottery.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, I've learned a lot from listening to you. I think that you're very smart and I appreciate you sharing your expertise. And so everybody, if you could, please join me in giving a digital round of applause and a digital thank you to Attorney Nichole Compton. Now, what is your website or what can people follow you, by the way?
In the process, I keep seeing it. I keep revamping stuff. So I have NicholeCompton.com. Nichole has an H in it. Recently launching Black Law Street. So you look for that. We'll be doing some interviews and things there. But you can always find me if you just Nichole Compton. NicholeCompton.com, Nichole Compton on Instagram, Nichole Compton on Facebook. I got about 4 Facebook pages, but I'm around.
Well, she's all over.
And always growing. You can always find me at the Black Business School, the Black Legal Program.
Yes. And she really knows a lot about business startups and stuff like that. And so if you guys want to check out the program that Nichole is
Wednesday,
that we're kind of partnering on, feel free to go check it out. It's theblackmillionairefactory.com, THE. That's theblackmillionairefactory.com.
I will say this. If you are truly looking to be a Black millionaire, if you are truly looking to be smart and launch your business, money doesn't wait. Opportunities can be lost every day, just like with Kobe Bryant. I am sure on Sunday morning at 9:00 before they took off, he did not see that he wouldn't make it the next hour. And so you have to be ready and you have to be willing to make some moves if you want to fulfill your dreams. So if your dream is to start a business or to grow your business this year, you need to be in the Black Millionaires Factory. And, we start in 2 days. I'm excited because every day I'm getting more stuff ready to, new stuff and better stuff and things that I know that people need to be considering.
Yeah, so feel free to go check it out, guys. What I'll do is I'll share the link in here in the chat so you guys can sort of take a look at it. And like I said, if you don't like it, you guys can get your money back. So it's going to be really great. It's going to be 4 weeks. And basically we have a complete structured curriculum And that pretty much covers everything you want to know, not just to get your business started, but to take it to the next level. So feel free to go check it out. The URL is theblackmillionairefactory.com. THE, that's theblackmillionairefactory.com. So thank you very much, Nichole. I appreciate your time. And thank you guys for hanging out. It was a lot of fun. And RIP to Kobe, and the best wishes to his family. And there's
the other people on board.
Sorry.
And the other people on board.
Yeah.
There were a lot of families that were affected.
I'm following online, and people are suggesting things they want me to talk about. And some of the stuff I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I really want to go too deep into some of this stuff. But believe me, there's some real interesting stuff.
I hope you share.
I will share it in private for now, and then I'll decide what we want to talk about in public, because you got to be careful. You got to be respectful of everything. But I had a lot of Black women that really had some things to say about about generational wealth. I'll just say that. Y'all can guess what that conversation will be. I'm not even going to dig into it, because I ain't trying to have people get mad at me because I'm bringing it to you. But I'm okay with talking about it to a point, because I respect the women that have that brought that issue up. I think you could bring it up and still show respect, but it's going to be interesting. So maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. Let me sleep on it. So you guys have a good night, and thanks a lot, Nichole. It's good seeing you.
All right, no problem.
All right,
bye, you all.
Bye bye.